I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Number 2, we will call to order the October 5th, 2023 Village Board meeting. Roll call shows all trustees are present except for Jane. She is excused. Staff is all present, and Attorney Michael is present. For agenda changes, we will change under 10 new business. We will take D above A. 5, consent agenda. A, September 21st, 2023 regular board meeting minutes. And B, presentation and accounts and other claims against the village. If there are no questions, I would need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
A second.
Roll call, Grace.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. 6, we will open the public hearing. A, Wild Wind Phase 2 Special Assessment. If anyone wishes to speak, please state your name and address for the minute taker. And Aaron, or Nathan, do you want to start this out?
Yeah, this is a second public hearing held for this road. We did one last year, and it was at the advice of the attorney to update it, do it again, because it's been a year since we did the preliminary public hearing. So we're doing it again in order to potentially, because the road is going in this year, which would be probably in the next few weeks. And then there would be an updated amount after we get all the numbers back, and then we'd update this, send out a final resolution. So,
Does anyone have any questions or concerns in the audience?
I guess also somebody. So I'm just curious. I'm new to the community. We just moved into the area, and this is actually probably the third neighborhood I've lived in, kind of like this one, with being developed and everything. So I guess my question is, why are the homeowners developing the neighborhood? Shouldn't that have been the developer or the city or whoever doing this with the roads? I mean, why is that falling on the homeowners? I mean, it's different if it's a 20-year-old road and you're asking for improvements and all that, but this is a brand new road, brand new neighborhood. In fact, most of the lots are empty, so you're going to come in and redo it, charge the homeowners to develop the neighborhood. So I'm just kind of confused by that. I mean, I've actually been on the planning commission where I came from. None of this makes sense to me at all. I mean, you would plan for this, right? The developers are taking care of it. You would have budgeted for it. Why is it falling on the homeowners?
that was just part of the agreement that was done when the development was undertaken.
So the city agreed to do it, not the homeowners.
Right. The city did an agreement with the developer, correct?
Okay. So like when you're expanding Jacques Street now, right? That developer is responsible for that. Why is the original one for this one not finishing his work?
Because we are not necessarily doing it this way anymore. Correct.
Okay. Well, so that's how you do it. That's how you develop. You make your homework pay for it.
Didn't the developer, the person who sold them the home, have to disclose that?
Yep, they all were notified about it, whether or not they, yeah.
Well, I'm new, so I just moved in, so I would not know this. But I mean, obviously, as a new homeowner, you would.
It
be nice
was
to
part
know,
of,
oh, by the way, you're going to $5
it was
grand.
tied to every single property in there.
What's that?
It was tied, like, there was a notice in every single property that is in that subdivision on the paperwork for your plat. But, so when you buy it, your title company should have had notice of it in there. But, yeah, I mean, it's.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem right. I mean, you're asking the neighborhood to develop the neighborhood.
Let's just have a question on that as well. So the rates that are on there, or the rates that were disclosed, that's gonna cost for the paving per homeowner?
Mm-hmm.
And then you had just stated a little bit ago that that the attorney advised to have a second meeting, which is this one, and then you would go through and then re-update the price after it was paid, but Murphy Concrete is already, they've already locked in the price of what it's gonna cost, so why would it change from what's published? Or
'Cause
what
what's
it's gonna
public-
be to what it's gonna be when they already have the price locked well before it's even gonna be done.
The preliminary engineering report was created last year. That was prior to us knowing what the bid was. So the number is gonna be low. The bid came in to substantially lower than what this estimate is for.
So the bid that Murphy's doing it at
Right.
should be lower than the
That-
numbers that were
yes,
that were
right.
published?
Yeah.
And then closer to what the village employees have been estimating it at now with the discussions?
Can you repeat? Like-
Yeah, so like when you call and ask what is it gonna
Right.
potentially cost all the homeowners that are in that subdivision, the second side of it, they're saying it's around,
I was told, because we live there and I have a bunch of lots for sale in there for the developer, I was told anywhere from 33 to 37 per tax parcel. So that's, as people call in,
Yeah.
I give.
so is that number, which is definitely lower than this, and that's where I was just questioning, it's like, okay, you have one right there, and then Murphy's already stating, well, it's already locked in, the engineering was already done over a year ago, everything's already been approved other than asphalt testing, et cetera. And then all of a sudden, it's like, well, there's gonna be, then you had mentioned the new rate, and I was just like, okay, well, there's the one that's being told by the village, there's the one that was published, and then
Right.
there's this third rate mentioned. I was just wondering where the third rate was coming in at was.
So the reason this is being put out now in the same aspect is because of the fact that the preliminary engineering report isn't a report we put together. Our engineer does that. They did that a year ago. We didn't want to pay them to update it. That's why you're getting a verbal estimate from our staff, because our staff took the bid number, split it out between the lots. And depending, that will most likely be the price in that range, unless something happens where Murphy charges us less for some reason.
No, that makes sense now, because I was just, there's the one, and then there's another one, and then it's like, wait, there's gonna be yet another change to it, but. Okay,
Sorry.
that makes sense. And then the developer costs, every subdivision is different, so I get that.
Any other questions?
Thanks for the time.
Well, I just wanted to address, I wanted to address that first question. So if the developer, so it's just, that's the way the agreement was set up with the developer. If the agreement was set up with the developer that the developer had to pay for the whole thing, so the developer was gonna pay for this final coat, your lot would have cost more. So the cost goes into, out of your expense at some point. It's just that the way that it was structured, the final coat of the curb and gutter final coat ends up on the individual lot owners after a certain time frame or a certain number of lots have been sold off. But no matter what, if we just push it off to the developer and did the agreement differently, your lot would have cost $3,700 more.
Yeah, which is fine.
Just for the
Except
lot.
Now I live where I do, and most of the lots are empty, so they're all gonna recoup their costs. I'm not, right? I gotta pay mine.
No, the
Even
developer's
small
gonna pay,
lots can
they're gonna
actually-
pay, he's gonna pay,
Right, but
if
they
he's a developer,
increase-
he's paying the same thing you're paying for every
Correct.
single lot
But they
as
can
well.
increase the price of their lot and recoup it. I can't, right? I'm stuck with it.
But the new owner will still have the same price to pay, whether, so if the developer is going to pay for that empty lot and then raise the price of the lot, that developer is still not paying it, but the new homeowner is paying it just at a different time, at the time of purchase rather than now.
Well, I understand that, but they're not, they don't know the difference when they're buying the lot, whatever, right? You know what the lot costs you, so what? Right? I'm there, and now I'm paying for something that should have been taken care of by the developer. And you're even saying you're changing that going forward, because as you should, the neighborhood should not be developing the neighborhood.
I just wanted to make sure that you understood that
Oh, I
everybody's gonna end up
Oh, I
paying,
get that.
that owns the lot, they'll end up paying for it. Unless the developer decides to eat it for the remaining lots that they own, if they can't sell them for whatever cost, if they increase the cost, can't sell a lot. I don't foresee that in the environment here in Hortonville, but, so the next person who ends up being your neighbor, will pay it, they just won't see it as a separate bill, they're gonna see it as the cost of their lot.
And, I mean, right now, the lots that I have listed, it's spelled out pretty clear that if it's done prior, because originally it wasn't gonna be paid until the subdivision was X amount full and yada yada, which I get why you guys are paving it now, but it's really clear in the lot descriptions as of right now. So anyone coming in, and then you should have received a city letter.
Well, I never received anything, mine says vans on it, so
Well,
I found out through a neighbor since it's even happened.
The builder should have disclosed.
Yeah,
So
Vans,
I wasn't even given
Vans should
30
have
days
disclosed it
notice
to you.
that you're required to get one, right?
That's
So I didn't get that.
That's a builder issue.
Unfortunately, yeah, that was.
Right, but you know what I'm saying, I never got anything, I found out through a neighbor. So I mean, Robert's rule, right, you should be telling us 30-day notice, right? You should be listing in your thing where you listed this in other places, so that we're all aware of it. Maybe the lots are mostly lots, and you come in and fix it, and all these big trucks go over it and wreck it again, if we come back and ask for more? Because there's not too many houses in this section.
Just some helpful information. For access to these meetings and stuff, you can sign up and get text messages with every meeting that's happening. And then you can access the agenda, and you would see that this was up for discussion.
Right, but
Granted,
you want
this meeting would have happened last year, or, I mean, I wasn't here, but you can, the information is out there, and it would just be sent right to your phone.
Right, but I'm just
But you
saying,
didn't
usually when you affect someone in a neighborhood, no matter where it is, you gotta give them a 30-day notice of the letter that affect the neighborhood, whatever you're doing, right? It's not just you posted on a wall here, and hope somebody saw it.
There should have been a notice sent out. I can verify the list that was sent
Yeah.
out, but.
I guarantee you, because when I read your thing,
Right.
Vans
They
is
should.
on there. So I guess my question is, I just moved in, is Vans paying this bill or am I?
No, like I said, this is the old
Exactly.
It's the old preliminary special assessment list. I can check our list and make sure that she didn't use this list, so they should have updated that and sent out off the new owner's list,
Right.
which we have in our file, so
I most definitely did not get it.
I can look into that.
I have a
Any
follow-up
other-
question on the timing of it. When phase one was done last year, the west entrance was made available for quad axles and any GVW over 30K to travel on to protect their finished coat. And I don't know what the percentage is, but I would guess 75% of those lots remain open. That's a lot of quads.
I don't know what we have available.
That would be, I guess, more of a question for the engineer to be able to handle that.
Typically, it's better if there is the final coat on it. You're gonna have a lot more stability on the road rather than it being on without the top layer. Basically, that's what we did in the first section, and then they had about $40,000 worth of repairs. So then you're coming back and then assessing those repairs then onto the homeowners as well. So this way, you get the top coat, you might have a better chance at having reduction in the amount of damage to the road.
I think that's the reasoning why we have the trigger that, I think it's what, 70% or something like that, you're supposed to be, ideally you get like 70% of the lots are sold, and then once you get to that point, then it automatically triggers that we move forward with the final coat, the curb gutter, all that. But at some point, the village has to look at it. We can't, I mean, if the lots aren't sold or they're not being developed fast enough, we can't leave it there for the residents to drive over, a partially done road, because it's gonna get damaged every year that it sits there. So you can't leave it sit for 3, 4, 5 years, because that road is going, the substrate, the first coat that's on there is gonna get damaged to the point where it's gonna cost significantly more to put it in than what potential damage might be done by heavier vehicles coming in. Understand where I'm, there's gotta be a point somewhere where you have to do the road, because it's gonna cost more if you don't do it than if you do it.
Okay.
Ideally, you would have that 70% threshold met, but that's not always the case.
Okay. Is there any plan, and I understand that the developer and the people that own lots and are selling them are responsible for their own marketing and that kind of stuff, but is there any plan to help fill it faster, or not really?
Hope for which one?
No.
Help sell the lots faster.
Oh, sell the lots faster. Oh, okay.
Oh.
Sorry, I just couldn't.
But that access road will still be there. For what it's worth, it's supposed to be it's written in that that'll be the last lot sold in the subdivision, so at least coming in, but you're still gonna have quad axles on the road.
And you're talking about lot 31, right, Nathan?
Yeah, it kinda goes through 31 and 32 currently,
Okay.
but 31 is supposed to be the last one sold
Okay.
or built on.
Any other comments? Okay, we will now close the public hearing. Number 7, pre-registered citizens to be heard.
There are none.
Okay. 8, committee reports. A, library board. Pat?
I was not at the last meeting, so I'll ask Ally to report on that.
Either.
We met this past Tuesday. It was my review. I'm still sitting here, so it must have gone well. That was really the big focus of that meeting.
All right, thank you. B, public safety committee. Jim?
So we had a few things. The first was reevaluation of the hours for the limited full-time position. The result of the conversation was the final decision was to hold off on the move until we have more information, see the effects of the bypass on the traffic needs, and during budget efforts. Next topic was the discussion on the UTV-ATV ordinance, because the county passed a new ordinance allowing, they made some changes to their ordinance to mirror the state statute. So what we decided was we should accept the changes, recommendations, we should accept the changes made to the document to better align with the county and state ordinances. But as mentioned above, asked to remove the lines related to specific roads. What that came down to was, instead of posting saying you can't, this road, instead of listing in the ordinance saying which roads we shouldn't have specifically, to just put in that all roads, all municipal roads are UTV, ATV routes unless otherwise posted. And we're already posting the roads that are not allowed as UTV, ATV routes. It just makes it cleaner when we move forward. If something changes with the county approving or changing which roads that we can go on that are housed within the municipal limits, that we don't have to go in and change the ordinance. The ordinance would already be correct. All we'd have to do is go out and remove the signs from the remaining roads that were now UTV, ATV routes that weren't in the previous. And then there was a future discussion. Shauna suggested that we look at a possible solution for the lack of visibility at the corner of Dewey and Nash during Blackwater operating hours. And then Grace asked that we bring back discussion on the wheel tax. And we already discussed that.
I didn't bring that up at that public safety meeting.
That's in my notes.
Do you have the minutes?
It is the minutes.
That's the minutes.
It was brought up.
Is it in the packet?
No, it's not in the packet.
Jim, is there like a meeting packet? Because like that UTV, ATV, I'd be real curious just to see what the county came up with. Is there a packet that you could share with the rest of the board from the meeting? Like what did you guys review?
just the ordinance that's available from the county.
I think Chris provided the changes to that, didn't he provide the red changes
If
to
I
the
remember right, yeah,
document?
Chris just gave us a document saying, here's the changes based off of what the county changed.
Yeah, I was looking for minutes and I couldn't find anything, and then I was trying to figure out a packet to, you know, just so that it might answer some of the questions that I have about that one.
The minutes don't get posted until
Correct.
they're approved at the next meeting.
Absolutely, and we talked about even putting draft through it.
Yeah, isn't that what we had decided?
Yeah.
was
Like
what
we
we
do with the regular minutes and put draft? I thought we
Yeah,
had
I
agreed to
thought
that.
that's what we were gonna do. I
Yep.
asked Jane,
I
did you
didn't
not
get the
see my
minutes. Just-
email?
She hasn't gotten the minutes, I
I don't
asked her
have
this
the
afternoon.
Oh, okay.
So I just would be more curious if there's packet materials, if that would be something that would be shared, so that if something's gonna come up to the board for recommendation, we just have that materials.
Okay.
Instead of, like, just so that we can understand it as well.
Yeah.
When we put it on the regular agenda, I'll make sure that we bring whatever we had.
That's great.
Okay?
Yep.
Just to clarify, maybe I brought up the wheel tax, but I thought that I also brought up the stop sign, that someone, a resident wanted a stop sign to be at Bath and
Yeah.
Lincoln.
Yeah.
I do remember bringing that up.
Yep, I do too, it's not on there, sorry.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Grace brought up potentially putting a stop sign at the intersection between Lincoln and Bath. That's all.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll move to 9, unfinished business from previous meetings. There is none. 10, new business. We'll do D, discussion and possible action on Wild Wind special assessments.
There's no action really to be taken here, it's just if you had any conversations on the public hearing, and that was pretty much it.
Does anyone have any comments?
No, just the gentleman that spoke earlier, did you give your name or anything? I just was real curious which lot was yours.
In lot 40.
Okay, and usually the clerk would need your name and things too for the meeting.
Randy, yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, 40.
Okay.
Any other comments? Okay, we'll then move to A, discussion and possible action on setting up a cow for the 2024 budget preliminary. When are you looking to do this? In October? We have a lot
Yeah,
of
probably
meetings.
before the next meeting,
Okay.
like if you wanted to do it the hour before the next meeting.
Does anybody have a problem with having it at 5 o'clock?
No.
It would be the October 19th village board meeting. Does that work for everyone?
Is that enough time? Is an hour enough time?
Preliminary.
Yeah, preliminary, we kind of go over a few things. Obviously, there's a few things that might change at that point. We still don't have final numbers when it comes to certain things from the state. But for the most part, we'll have our general budget outlined.
Will we have it ahead of time, ahead of that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, then we will move to B, discussion and possible action on Mill Street engineering.
So we've kind of discussed it in a couple different meetings. There was some failures underneath Mill Street that caused sewer backups. We did get approval for some short-term fixes on the storm sewer and the sanitary sewer, but this is now a contract for engineering Mill Street to have it fixed for good and doing the complete reconstruction of the road. And it would be designed over the winter and then construction for next year in 2024.
So you're looking for a motion to go ahead?
Is it 2 blocks?
Yep.
It's just North Mill Street?
Yes.
Any comments? suggestions?
Any idea what we're supposed to be doing a motion on?
This is
There's-
MSA,
Oh, that's
right?
MSA.
I make a motion to approve MSA professional services agreement for North Mill Street reconstruction engineering and the amount of $60,000.
Mhm.
Can I mention something? Is this something we could wait on while exploring the wheel tax and go full circle? Can it wait, or it has to be?
I would recommend that it gets done just because of all the problems that we had this year and the fixes that we put in weren't designed to last very long. It's just designed to get us through until we actually do the full reconstruction.
And this is for the
And because of the
engineering.
cost of construction right now, it's supposed to go up substantially next year. So we were advised to start early and get this project moving, or they will pay a lot more for it.
Can both happen? I mean, this sounds like it has to happen, and that's good.
And this is just for the engineering.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be
Right.
the
Mhm.
construction. It hasn't gone out to bid yet or anything like that. So
To
once we
determine
have
what has
engineers.
to get done yet, you know, yeah. So I will second Pat's motion. If you're, is that
Yep,
satisfactory?
yep, that's-
Okay,
I
I will
understand.
second Pat's motion.
Okay, roll call.
Aye.
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 Motion carried. C, discussion and possible action on ProTech Fusion Edge Pusher.
So this is in our CIP. The pusher that we have right now that they've been using isn't working really well. Basically it's failing on the bottom, so something that is used a lot for snow removal. We got 3 different prices. Talking to staff, we recommend the number 2, the ProTech Fusion Edge Pusher. I think that would work the best for the cost and the needs that we would use it for the village.
Do we have another quote
We just have the 3 different ones from this.
from the one manufacturer?
Well, I live in phase 2, I also work for this company. We're the only ProTech dealer in the state and in northern Illinois.
Okay, and it has to be ProTech?
Well, I think those are usually recommended as the best ones for the loader that we have.
Okay. I hate being a stickler, but we're supposed to provide us with at least some competitive quotes. Even if you come in with another quote and say, this is from a different manufacturer, not the recommended one, but so that way, here's what the pricing is for us, instead of coming in with one quote and we literally have no options. So
So it would be hard to get an apples to apples comparison, but we could do,
yeah,
and if you want, we could come back with it. And
I would greatly appreciate that. I mean, your predecessor was here for 28 years and he came with one quote for bridge work, and I objected to that as well. And even though it's the same company that we've been using for 10 years and they've done all the work, and I trusted him, wholly,
I don't see how
I
this.
still wanted to have
pertains.
a second quote. It's basically a standard. Instead of coming, it's.
But this information doesn't pertain to this. Carl McCrary.
I understand that. I was giving an example to say that I am not singling this out as anything different. It's basically a standard to come in with more than one quote. That provides us with, because none of us are experts on any of this, so it provides us with a basis for understanding the cost and what any potential other options might be. I fully expect that I would and probably will endorse whatever this is, but I really do not like to see just one quote come in front of us for anything that we're doing.
Okay.
I have a question about the edge pusher.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the bucket,
It's like a bucket.
like a blade?
It's instead of the bucket, basically.
Can it be refurbished? Repaired?
Yes, So,
Sorry.
No, it's good that you're here.
essentially it goes in place of the bucket. It's like a half open rectangle. It's just a box plow is
Yeah.
usually what they're called.
Yeah.
The Fusion has replaceable 2-foot sections in it that just come on and off with hardware. It's a little bit different than some of the other ones that are out there. That's why you probably will have a hard time finding a comparison because it's a rubber coated steel. No one else makes that, but it's meant to protect the surfaces.
Yeah.
And it still gives pretty good scraping power. There are other manufacturers out there that we partner with. A lot of people know Boss. Western has one. It's kind of commercial grade though, and they bend up pretty good under loaders. They're really meant for backhoes and heavy duty pickup trucks like F550s and stuff like that. They're not really meant for loaders, but they can be used.
Thank you.
I understand this is part of the CIP, but I know we have a current pusher. Is that something that's saleable to help curb the cost?
Yeah, I mean, it's not functioning very well right now, but I'm sure we can get something.
Something for it, yeah.
So how long would it take to get this if we're delaying this for 2 more weeks?
Well, I don't know in order to get it in. You know, we're trying to do it now before the snow comes.
Right.
You know, I think we'll hopefully still be able to get it in before that.
Is it something you have on hand?
And
Okay.
the quote's good for 30 days, so.
Yeah, but that doesn't, like, we build quad axle trucks too, and big municipal patrol trucks, like the orange ones you guys see. That stuff, like, we're out into 2025 on builds. Something like this though, that we have is in stock.
Okay.
So, and that, you know, kind of what it is alluding to is why we didn't get more, because I thought it would have to be more of an apples to apples.
Yeah, I would prefer something that, I mean, rather, because we've had a number of single quote stuff come past us, and it's concerning to me to not have some reference point to compare to, even if you bring something else in and say, okay, here's 2, and we really don't like this company, they haven't treated us very well, and their products aren't very good, but here's your 2 quotes, and here's the one we suggest you go with. I would much prefer to see that rather than just to get 1 quote and say, here, we're gonna buy something from this company, what would you like to buy?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Any other comments? Okay, then we will move to E, any other miscellaneous topics for future discussions?
I was just wondering, if you were able to find anything out on the referendum recommendations?
Yes, that was gonna be my,
Oh, in your
in my
reports.
report, but I can't
I'm
answer it
sorry.
now. You cannot do the advisory referendums anymore. So we could not put the wheel tax out and ask the question of would you want a wheel tax as a referendum anymore. Certainly you can do it in other methods of you could just post it and have a public hearing, you could do something like that, but you can't do that in a referendum anymore.
Okay, thank you. I didn't mean to
No, that's
take your
okay.
report away. I guess based on that, I had read in the Post-Crescent that Nina is doubling its transportation fee to cover rising cost of street reconstruction projects. I'm hoping that somehow we can keep this on the front burner so that we look at ways that we can save on assessment fees. You know, we discussed wheel tax, transportation fees. I just think we need to keep our minds open.
Almost double?
Yep, but,
Yeah.
but again,
Yeah.
it's helping the fund. So I would hope that we wouldn't just table this forever. I would hope that we can keep addressing it, the wheel tax, the transportation fee, however we can help with assessment. Mill Street is gonna be a huge one, and it only goes from there. So that would be my request for future discussions.
I would like to talk about the Mill Street Bridge on South Mill Street, just the no parking painted section of it. Just if more, once the downtown gets
redone, I think you could have additional parking on Mill Street. Because the bridge is painted yellow, much beyond the abutment of the bridge. You could,
You can't talk about it, you can just make a suggestion to them.
well, that's what I'd like to talk about.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other topics? Okay, we'll go to reports. Number 11, report of village officials. A, clerk treasurer.
My report was in the packet.
Any questions for Jean?
I just had one out of curiosity, Jim, and I should have asked you today. You were notified of the incompetent registered voter?
The county will notify us when there's a ruling on someone that's a registered voter if they have been deemed incompetent.
So if a person is no longer incompetent, then you get
Yes,
re-notified?
and then they would have to re-register.
Okay, oh, okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions for Jane? Okay, we'll move to B, Director of Public Works, Aaron.
My report is in the packet, and one other thing I guess is you may have noticed when you came in, we started on trail extensions from the sidewalks that go into the trail that we have going behind our building. When it's all completed, it will be about a third of a mile trail from start to finish.
Any questions for Aaron? Okay, we'll go to C, Police Chief, Chris.
My report is in the packet. Under miscellaneous information, I have, we're looking at doing a stuff the cruiser. The Hortonville Food Pantry had called and said that they're running low on food. I have it here as October 21st, however, we have changed that to November 4th.
Any questions for Chris?
Is there any issues of note with the Highway 15 update? You guys see it in there every time? Nothing's changed?
Nope.
Okay.
Are you concerned for this contract that's gonna expire this year?
For what contract?
The taser and body cameras?
I'm just working as far as trying to get the best price that I can get. So, but I don't have, no concerns. So the taser is kind of, unfortunately, taser is the only taser that makes an electronic weapon. So there's nobody that we can go out and look to see. So we're kind of stuck with them. However, for the body cameras, they're coming out with new technology every year. So just try to get the best fit for the department for the best price.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll move to D, Library Director, Ally.
My report was in the packet. One change on it, we will no longer be walking in the parade tomorrow. We are significantly short-staffed and have illnesses on the staff as well. So everything is just compounding, and we're hoping to do it again next year. We still have staff attending the parade, and they'll be wearing their branded merch. So we'll still be represented, but not actively handing out sweets.
All right. Any questions for Ally? Okay, we'll go to E, Attorney, Michael.
No report.
All right. Any other questions for Michael? F, Administrator.
I went to a training yesterday that Ellers was putting on, basically covering levy limit stuff and some of the updates with Act 12 that changed a lot of things with TIDs. For closing out TIDs, typically when they close out, the village can increase its levy 50% of the total amount generated from that TID. Act 12 dropped that down to 10%. So any TID created after October 1st, 2024 will be at 10% only rather than the 50%. So, yeah. Other than that, been meeting with some developers and on some properties in TID 6. Aaron and I met with HYS and the school district today to talk about a long-term plan with Auto Miller Park. And other than that, kind of putting in and looking at new numbers with the state for our budget for next year. Budgeting.
Any questions for Nathan? Okay, we'll go to G, building permit report. It is in the packet. We'll go to 12, communications and miscellaneous business. A, Black Otter Lake District News, and Jane is out. B, Hortonville Hortonia Fire District News,
Meetings in another week or so.
October 11th.
Yeah.
C, Gold Cross Ambulance Run Report and News, there is none. D, Hortonville Civic Association is Jane, and she is out. And E, Senior Activities Committee, Pat.
We have our monthly potluck this past Monday and did Tide fleece blankets that'll be donated to the food pantry. We did that in collaboration with the library. Our annual Senior Autumn Fest is this coming Tuesday. We have about 120 people attending. I think 18 booths that people can walk around and collect information from. So between our Monday and Tuesday, this past Monday and the coming Tuesday, we're busy, finishing up with details and picking things up. So I think we're all set. And our next meeting will be October 19th at noon. Nathan is speaking on Tuesday, and Aaron too, right? Plus Tom Ellenbecker from the school district, so he'll be on the future of this.
Tim's not?
He can't make it.
Oh. Any questions for Pat? Okay, we'll go to 13, comments and suggestions from citizens present. Is there any?
It doesn't matter for the pusher. I'm not concerned with that. But we have run into issues with larger municipalities when they're purchasing multiple things and builds, where we're the only bidder and our bid gets published and then we get underbid in a rebid situation and we end up losing like $1 million. That's whatever, and nobody else makes it, so. But just when it comes down to only receiving one bid, I would ask that please do not publish single bids if it has not been published already for that reason.
Thank you. Anyone else have any comments? Okay, we'll go to 14. I would need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We're adjourned at 6:43.